And we're going to go live.
Gonna go live. Beats the alternative.
And it does, man.
Going dead.
It's a journey, no matter which way you're going. So, hey, you're
Yeah,
on Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy. It is August 10th, high noon Eastern Standard Time. And for those who don't know me, I'm Teddy Burriss, LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. But I'm going to first introduce you to our host, our sponsor, the Elder Law Firm out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And we're really grateful for the Elder Law Firm being a sponsor for us. Look them up in Greensboro, look them up online, elderlawfirm.com, and you need to let them know that Randy sent you to say hello. So Randy, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
I will, as I'm trying to. Can I multitask? I don't. Probably not as well as I could.
Go ahead. You finish up.
In my youth.
Yeah.
But no, I got it. No, it's Randy wouldn't. This part I know, Teddy. The other, it's the technology part that I'm still grappling with. But I got it. I got it. Sort of.
I'm glad I could send my young nephew over to help you last week.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get. Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries, Northwest North Carolina, based in Winston-Salem, and run our professional center. So if you or maybe somebody you know is in a job search, regardless of where you live, but most of my clients are in our backyard of the triad, we're happy to help. Our services are free, work by appointment. So find me on LinkedIn. Not difficult to find, and we'll get you on the calendar. But a couple of times a week, I get together with my cohort Teddy, and I always tell people it's kind of like having a lunch and learn every week, except that we get to pick the topics and ask questions. So you can't beat that. So Teddy, we throw it back to you, and I'm going to figure out the rest of this technology piece. And by the way, if you have a comment or question for our guests, put them in the chat, and we'll try to work them in.
And we got 10,000 people in the audience, Randy. The chairs are getting full, buddy.
Woo.
Hey, for those who have never met me, I'm Teddy Burriss. I run a business called Burriss Consulting, Inc., and we teach LinkedIn as a business tool to corporations and salespeople and business professionals. We also teach Google Workspace as a business tool to the same group of people, because both of those are really powerful business tools for those who want to use business tools to be successful in life. But Randy and I get together every week. We do a Monday show, we do the Wednesday show. And this week, I'm really excited because I got Rebecca and Keith Scott. They work for an organization. They have an organization. They built an organization called TALLsmall Productions. We'll learn a little bit more about that. But one of the things that they said to me when we, a long time ago when we got together, they said, look, everyone deserves to have their voice heard. And I'm like, wow. But lots of people can't. So this is one of the big parts of their business, is helping people get their voice heard. Rebecca, Keith, would you help me introduce yourselves and your business at a high level? Don't want to go into the brand so much. Just tell us a little bit more about who you are, and thanks for being here today.
High level, we've got to mention the 6'9", 5'2".
Yeah.
But that's at the surface. We help people learn that they have that voice already inside. A lot of people think they need to be taught how to get that voice to be there. It's already there. Everybody has the magic inside. We help people become more comfortable putting themselves out there and making their voices heard.
We had a real concern with, there are a lot of hidden people out there with some brilliant ideas, but they get shut down every day by a bunch of loudmouths who don't really know that much. And we think if we can help these folks get their voice heard, imagine how many inventions, cures for diseases, wars that could be never occurring, because people would know how to communicate their ideas. And it's the last moment that you'd leave on the earth.
Yeah. Hey, Randy.
Right
before you go, Randy, did you hear what Keith said? A lot of people get shut down by loudmouths. I don't think he's referring to you and me.
I'm sure there's they're way too polite for that. We're way too polite for that. Hey guys, I appreciate you coming on, and I think the topic's going to be really relevant for a lot of folks. I mean, there's guys like Teddy and me that can get up in front of a group, and we don't need scripts. We don't need nothing. And for us, it's kind of a fun thing in a way. It's a bit of a challenge, but a fun challenge. But for a lot of people, it's nerve wracking, and they're just not comfortable with it. But I always ask the why question before we really dive into the show. And that's, to me, it's very important to understand the motivation. You guys didn't just wake up one day and say, we're going to do this. I'm sure there was a poignant time or a series of events that said, you know what, this is where I belong? And help us understand what that's all about. What's your why?
Our why is that we would see how frozen people would become and how their self-talk would put these obstacles, these invisible obstacles in front of them that would stop them from getting themselves out there. And it was painful to watch people stopping themselves, selling themselves short when we saw that they had much more power inside.
It's also figuring out in life what you're not good at. You know, it's funny, you talk about Goodwill Industries. I spent 10 years at Goodwill, the Chesapeake and Horizon Goodwill. And I always talk to people about find out what you're not good at and don't do it. Because there's many things in life you shouldn't be doing.
Wait, you're not good at something?
That's right. The fact is, I knew I wasn't going to do anything else but communicate. Because as a kid, you connect with people, and Rebecca did too. You connect with people with a voice, and then you realize, well, there's some people out there that have difficulty with that. Well, what can I do about it? And then you figure out your purpose.
Another part of our why comes from both of our former careers, because we would use the same skills, but not always in ways that we were proud of. For example, I used to be a TV reporter and producer, and there were times when I could tell someone really did not want to talk, but it was my job to get them to do so. And I knew how to tilt my head or what to do to get them to open up. And sometimes that didn't feel right when I knew it wasn't in their gut what they wanted.
Yeah.
And as a lobbyist, you have to know the art of persuasion. But I go back to my experience early on at Goodwill, working with individuals with disabilities. I was actually in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and many people at that time period said, I don't want to hire people like that. And they were blunt about it. So you had to learn the power of persuasion when you were talking to, whether it's a manufacturing site or an office site, on the benefits of hiring and working with individuals with disabilities. Well, that's persuasion in a whole nother manner that the universities or colleges or schools, they don't teach.
Yeah.
You have to learn people skills real quick.
And those people skills we get to use in an all positive way now.
Yeah. You know that you're using a phrase that I prefer to use only because I don't have a better phrase, but the one that I don't use anymore is soft skills.
Thank you.
I think it's so demeaning of a tool set that we all have and we can develop and grow with that can help us change our lives and change other people's lives. Yeah. So,
and the soft skills really make a difference in everything, because if you don't have good soft skills, most likely you're going to be an annoying person.
And the other skills don't matter. The other skills you can't use, they will become dull if you don't have the people skills to know what to do.
Yeah. All right. So let's play with your brand a little bit. No, I don't mean disrespectful about that. It's the wrong word. Let's talk about your brand.
Oh,
okay?
you can
I
play
get
with
it.
it.
5269. I get that. But why did you name your business TALLsmall Productions, and why is that important in your organization?
We added the word productions for fun because we produce better communicators.
Okay.
Maybe it had something to do with the leftover production background that was in our minds, but that helped us drive what we do, because we're helping people to produce the best version of themselves. And if we did that by the name Klein and Scott, that would be dry. And everything we talk about is how to add stories to what you do. And when we say TALLsmall, it's a natural segue into a story.
It's also, how many times you've been out somewhere and someone's talking about their company and they'll say something like, you know, back at ABC company, we provide blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sitting at the table and the only person I see is you. We, who the heck is we? I don't see anybody else. That's why when you say TALLsmall, we don't have any other employees. It's me, tall, and small. So quickly, this is it. Instead of a name that really doesn't mean anything, like Axiom Communication. I mean, what does that mean?
Hey, Teddy, we need to come up with a name like Bald and Gray.
Slow down, Randy. We are live, buddy.
Okay, sorry. Gray and Bald. I'll put you first. Great. How about Gray? How about Gray and Bald? You think
I love that.
It's got kind of a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but when I say we're helping you, we do that, I'm very clearly talking about myself and my buddy Betty Booth, who sits here on my desk, and I let people know that she's here. But I get it. I like that. And Rebecca, you're right. If it was about, Scott and Klein, then I'd like, oh, I bet you have a glamorous boardroom too.
Exactly. But we'll tell you a secret. Guess what Klein means in German? It is on brand. small.
Small in German.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But tall, small, it fits. And what's funny now is at first people like tall, small, but now they just say it, no big deal. But they always keep the brand. They'll always remember us. They don't remember anything else. Us, and you always, as a business, you want to be the brand.
Yeah.
You want people to identify you with the brand, and there's no way you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I tell people on a regular basis, most people don't know the name of my company. The only
Mhm.
person who needs to know the name of my company is the person writing me a check, because my wife won't let them write it directly to Teddy. Other than that, nobody cares about the name of my company, because I'm a solo. My wife is the back office management, keep me out of trouble stuff, and so it's me. And with the two of you, it's you every day.
That's it.
So,
Exactly. There's no one else.
yeah. And we all have to remember that, for ourselves individually. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we move forward. It's you in the audience. We have 15,000 people in the audience. Every single one of you, you are your brand. You need to do everything you can to make it noticeable, memorable,
Mhm.
and worthwhile. Did I say that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about you are your own brand, that's not only for entrepreneurs. A lot of people think that only holds if you're an entrepreneur. You are your own brand wherever you are, because if you work for a company, that company does not own you. You want to be able to go to another place and you still have that brand.
Before I married my first wife, back in 1977,
Mm.
I knew that I was my own brand. I
Mm.
was a little bit more cocky back then,
Mm.
and I wore silk shirts, and I might
Whoa.
have had heels on, Randy.
Uh-oh.
Really?
Do you have photos?
Yep.
Tell us more, Teddy. Is something you want to share with us?
Forget public speaking today.
Were you at
Yeah.
Studio 54 too? Is that?
I'm not going to tell you the whole story, dude, but I was my own brand, and I knew that. And by the way, my first wife is still my current wife. So let's talk about another part of how we can make sure our brand is discovered. And I'm going to use this phrase, understood.
Mm.
And that is public speaking. I mean, anybody can start running their mouth. I do it all day long. Anybody can start running their mouth and hope that it makes sense. But maybe for some, it doesn't. Let's talk about public speaking training and how that is important.
Mm.
A lot of public speaking training is about unlearning, not adding more. It's about taking away. Because most people litter their sentences with words and phrases that either cause people to tune out or to look at them as though they are weak. For example, Teddy, if we said, honestly, we're happy to be here today, how would you feel?
Well, I have a very blunt opinion about the use of the word honestly.
Just honestly, try that one on him.
Just
Or
honestly.
Just
if
honestly.
I can be honest with you for a moment.
Two favorite
For a
words.
moment.
Or how about this? Teddy, we're actually having a good time here today.
No offense, but we thought this would be really boring.
All right, enough of you two.
We get that all the time, man. You got nothing on us today, right? We hear that every week. Nope, not a problem. Yeah,
But
Teddy,
those
I know you don't like the word just. I
don't
just
like the
wanted
word
to. I
just.
just wanted to ask. I just wanted
hate that.
to.
Or
Because
the one that's the most demeaning is I'm just a LinkedIn trainer.
Oh,
yeah.
I think it's so demeaning that we
It
do
is.
it ourselves.
The problem is with the word just is it becomes what we call doormat language. You basically let somebody else wipe their feet on you. And you put yourself on a place where they're up here and you're down here. We tell everybody we're all the same.
Yeah.
Don't put any words out there that demean yourself, because it's similar to the word sorry. The more you say the word, you become it. You become a sorry person.
Yeah.
That's
Somebody
the
taught
blunt
me.
truth.
Somebody taught me years ago, Keith, to minimize the use of the word sorry and instead use the word apologize. And when you
we
use
take
the,
that.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm not going to apologize because I thought you were done. we
Wow.
take it to a different level. We swap it out often for thank you or nothing, because too often people will walk by each other in a hallway and they'll say, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
For what?
And the more you say those words, the more you become and you live that way. And that's why you see many people when you're walking around in daily life look beat down to death because they've been saying these nasty words to themselves, and their self-talk is like the garbage after a week in the hot sun.
Yeah. My favorite
Horrible.
word when I'm in public and I pass by and pardon me, Rebecca, for being sexist, but it makes the story better. When I pass by a really nice, friendly woman and I get too close or I grab something in front of her or whatever, and I go, excuse me, and she goes, you're fine. And in my head, man, I just went to a whole another level.
Yes.
It is a fine
You're
individual.
just gonna try that out today now.
But you're right. I mean, we use these words, and I wrote down unlearn that Rebecca said, because we have to unlearn so much that we just adopted. We probably were never, no, not probably, we were never taught to say these. We
Exactly.
just heard it said over and over, and we adopted it as the right things to say. It's so along the lines of my good friends and cousins, and I hope some of my cousins are watching my show in South Carolina. They would say, somebody would go, hey, where's Pawpaw? My grandfather was Pawpaw. Right. Where's Pawpaw? And my South Carolina cousins would go, he's over yonder.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm saying yonder all day long.
It's contagious.
Or where's he at? Where's he at?
Yeah,
you hear that all the time too.
And my mom, if my mom's watching this show, she'll remind me that she beat that in my head forever.
Yeah. Hey, let me just interject. I know we've got what do we have? 16,000 people on the call. I'm sure you have comments or questions. We're going to dive into tips for public speaking and some other things that I think we all need to do a better job of and try to help us. I don't know if plan isn't the right word to use here necessarily, but how to think through the process so that it becomes second nature as best as possible. And you guys have been doing this for a long time. So for you, it's easy. For a lot of people, they look at you and go, okay, yeah, that's you guys. Yeah. I can't do that. Any tips for people from a confidence standpoint, anything that you throw out there to say, yeah, here's some things that you may want to consider.
Let's wrap that around the next talking item, Randy, which is,
okay. All right.
Rebecca gave to me and said, it's the fear of public speaking and how do you manage that? Now, here's what I was taught before I realized I was taught wrong. And I was told this, oh, Teddy, just get up on stage and imagine they're all in their underwear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the classic.
I heard that. I never really quite figured that out. Why would I want to talk more comfortably to a bunch of naked people than I would fully dressed people?
More likely you just want to sit and watch and talk.
I tried that, Teddy, and it doesn't work with you.
Don't ever do it again.
Like I said, I tried it, but it just it went over bad.
You know, to your point, though, here's the deal. When you're in fourth grade, we were talking to a team about this today. You have no fear of judgment. You can run around a building, run around outside, be an airplane, Superman, dive off things. You don't give a rip what people think about you. You don't even think about it. Become an adult, everybody's freaked out about judgment. Between fourth grade and adulthood, it's all about what are they going to think if I say the wrong thing, if I do this. And so therefore, we learn to conform to the same language that everybody else is doing because we don't want to be the one left out. And that's how these things spread.
What most people think is a fear of public speaking is not. As we ask them questions, we will usually be able to uncover what Keith said, that one moment, something that happened when they were a kid, when suddenly they realized, wait, people are judging me. And that's when a part of them died. And that's the part we need to bring back to life. Yeah. And we used a play-based approach to be able to get people to play with us. And when you said we're going to play together today, we thought this is right up our alley of what we do, because you have to get people into that playful mode of before they felt judged.
And the fact is, people are judging you. We're judging you guys. You're judging us. The viewers are judging each one of us. Even when we have an audience, we ask people, what do you think when you first saw us walk in the room? And some people have really nice things and some people have mean things, whatever, but it's all judgment. Yeah. And any group of people you talk to, 10% of them aren't going to like you because they just don't like you. And that's okay. You can get over that fact. That's just the way life is. And we don't love everyone.
We blocked that 10% from ever coming to our show ever again. It was 1999. I was working for a large organization in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I was responsible for delivering project updates and corporation changes and training to executives in the organization. And I will never forget that I sweat back then. I sweat. Oh, I swear, sweat was dripping from my fingertips. I was so freaked out about speaking to people. And I said the same thing over and over. I rambled, I mumbled, I ummed and ahed up one side down the other. I didn't need someone to come tell me that I was not presenting myself in the best possible way.
Right.
I heard it. I saw it on tape back in the days when we had tape. Remember that, Randy?
Oh, yeah.
And really it impacted me and said, I never want to be that person ever again. Now, back in those days, the easiest answer for me, and I would wager you know the name of the organization, the easiest answer for me was to join Toastmasters.
Yes.
However you get that public speaking training, it can absolutely blow your life to a whole nother level, change your life in ways you've never imagined.
Right.
It can.
Absolutely. And Rebecca and I did Toastmasters for a number of years, and we utilize a number of the things at Toastmasters, but we've added to what they do. We never criticize a group because each group has its own merit, but we've added to it over time to see what works for different types of people.
Yeah. Cindy, did I give you Cindy? Well, one of Randy's and our favorite fans just asked for a success story. I hope what I just shared with you did. Cindy, you never met me back in those days. I was a different person than I am today. So, any other success story about people overcoming public speaking and getting past that fear?
Oh
Every day, it's endless.
Yeah.
We had one executive once at a Fortune 500 company, and every time she would be asked to present in a meeting, she would get sick.
Like literally sick.
Literally sick, call out sick. And she came to us, and she grew up on stage in her father's church and had public speaking experience, but it was that moment of feeling judged. And we had to get her to be playful and to have fun and figure out what made her laugh. And we had to dig through all those layers. And once we did, she was a phenomenal speaker.
Everybody has vocal cords. Everybody's able to use body language and tone. It's just figuring out what's that one thing that shut them down many times in life. That thing someone said, you're never going to amount to this or that. There's something that shut that person down. Once you get past that, because we all have the same basic instrument. It's not complicated to speak. It's the thing in our brains.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could, when it comes to personality and you look at introvert, extrovert, you look at different types of analytical versus whatever, and whether it's strength finders, Clifton strengths, and just a whole host of assessments. Do you find, I guess a few things, we could peel this back, whether it's self-fulfilling prophecy. It says I'm an introvert, so therefore I can't do this. Or, my mom and dad were introverts and whatever.
Wish that was true many times.
Yeah, I just wonder how much this nature versus nurture kind of a thing are some people, if you will, born with let's say it's a shorter trip to success.
That's a neat way of saying it.
I like the way you
maybe like being born on third base kind of a thing. I mean, did some people just have whatever that it factor is, the woo factor, if you want to talk Clifton,
or they reach more of it in their career or in their life. But wherever people are right now, we can get them that home run because everybody has it within them. Oftentimes introverts make the best speakers because they know how to say less already.
I'm probably one of the most introverted people you would never know. If I get a chance when I'm done work, I am in the woods hiking alone. If I see someone on the trail, I'm like, right, I want some time alone after working with people. I'm an introvert, but that doesn't mean that you can't speak, you can't network. It's just where you get your greatest joy and passion. Sometimes it's all an energy level, not a skill set.
Yeah, and you're right. It's where you are today, and how can you move yourself to that next level? And maybe you're on first base in this whole journey of becoming something you really want to become, not something someone else wants you to become. But when you decide that you want to become that, my words are this: you got to start hanging out with people who play in the sandbox with the toys you want to play with.
Oh, I love that.
It's true. And you have
that's a great way of saying it.
Keith, you can say that 3 times. You have to say that. Play in the sandbox with the toys you play with. But 3 times you say it, and I heard this from Teddy Burriss, and I heard this from Teddy Burriss, and I heard it from Teddy Burriss. Then it can be yours, buddy.
Okay, I want to work on that tonight, my friend. Because I've also heard from, I don't know who I heard it from. Really everything starts with a conversation.
I heard that. I don't know where I heard that, but
we coined that. You can say TALLsmall taught me that. They broke into my office and put that behind me.
Absolutely. Hey, we had a question from one of our viewers. Any pointers on using communication skills, communicating your brand through email, social media? So not so much the spoken word, but perhaps the written word. Does that fall under your?
We do
area?
effective email classes all the
Yeah.
time, because what happens is it's the most overlooked part of an email that will often decide whether that email is read or not. And that's the subject line. People treat the subject line like it's meaningless. Putting some attention into that small part will win you a much better odds that somebody will read your email.
And
so
two
you
things.
don't want me to put words like "read this, fool"
or update, follow up.
Mandatory reading for
Right.
tonight, right? Put something interesting. If you're competing against 60 to 100 people with an email, they're going to read the one that's easy to read, looks interesting, and they can check off their list. If your email's a paragraph, they're going to shut it down.
Or if they know what to do with it. We open a lot of emails and we'll scroll through and think, what does this mean? What are they asking me?
What do they need me to do? I'm always asking, like, what do you need me to do? And another quick tip, some people fight us on it, which we love. But at the end, everybody always puts, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate. Don't ever tip someone off that they should have a concern.
Because that's what they're going to have.
It's like selling a car and saying, yeah, you might be concerned about the tires, but let me know.
If you should feel nervous about leaving this lot, let us know.
Don't give people ammunition.
I bought a used car at an auction, and the dude who sold it to me walked up to me after I bought it. He goes, "Hey man, I'm not sure there's going to be a problem or not, but you really should make sure that that thermostat is in there right now." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you just told me the thing's screwed up," and he was right. So I like that, Keith. Don't lead someone to believe there's a problem.
Exactly, because otherwise you give more work for yourself.
Is there a length of email or a number of short paragraphs? Some of the different people have different opinions on, should I use a bullet point? Whatever. Any kind of guidelines for what I'll call businessy email stuff?
Shorter is always sweeter, and not because I'm 5'2". But if you're going to go beyond 3 asks in an email, you're not using the right channel of communication. It should be a phone call, because if it becomes too complicated, people are not going to answer all the questions or even get back to you.
Keep it bulleted, short sentences, lots of space in between, and always answer right away. Why am I reading this email? Don't start out with, well, I hope the coronavirus is finding you well, and how was your summer vac? No one really cares, and no one really wants to hear all that. I mean, no one cares. Just get right down to it.
And the biggest no-no is starting with, as per my last email. If someone doesn't answer you and you write back and say, as per my last email, you are chasing them even further away, because they're going to be embarrassed then to answer you. If someone ghosts us, we will keep on writing them, calling them, but we'll never acknowledge you ghosted us.
People are going to write you back after you made them feel stupid.
Yeah, you got that, Teddy? You understand now? Yeah.
Now I got to send out 20 emails and apologize. I'm never going to say I'm sorry though.
There you go.
Like I said last week in my email to you, I hope you're having a good vacation, a good time, and I hope you're over COVID, and I hope things are well. I just wanted to ask you about these 8 things. So I guess we don't.
Questions or concerns.
I guess we don't want to don't do that. All right. So I learned that today.
Here's my last tip on an email messages. If I have 3 things that I know you need to have, my very first line is going to say there are 3 important points in this message, and I number them.
Right.
Because as Rebecca knows, a man never reads the entire email.
I know. I get practice in that every single day. Not from you. You went there. I didn't.
I'll give you a tip. I know you got a good commercial, but if you have a list of 8 things someone wants, I used to just fill out 3 of them and think, buy myself some time.
And
the
you're
way to
on
do it.
Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy, and our special guests are TALLsmall, and it's Keith and Rebecca Scott. And we really appreciate the fact that our friends, the Elder Law Firm out of Greensboro, North Carolina, is our sponsor. Look, you hear me say this every week, and I love this phrase, who's important to you, and how you plan to honor your responsibilities to them is also important to the Elder Law Firm. So look them up in Greensboro, North Carolina, or elderlawfirm.com, or 336-396-4551. And Randy, what are they supposed to say? Randy sent you.
Tell them Randy.
Mhm.
So
Tell them Randy sent you.
yeah.
Hey, if you've got questions or comments for our guest today, put them in the chat, and we're happy to try to work them in where appropriate. Something that I fail at a lot, but it doesn't stop me from trying, and that's using humor here and there to help tell a story and help kind of lessen the tension a little bit. Maybe we can work. Teddy, you're running the show here, but maybe
you'll get a
we can
little
work
better
in.
with that humor, Randy. I mean, if
We
you
can work
stop
in
reading
humor.
those 1950 dad jokes, you would be better off. But let's go with that. Keith, Rebecca, what are your thoughts about humor in speaking and humor and engaging with people?
And let me preface that, if I could, before I use a lot of self-deprecating humor. I've got an ego as big as the next guy, and I know I'm good at what I do, and so I have that confidence. So it's not self-deprecating humor that is hiding like, that silly laugh that people get when they're nervous and the self-deprecating. I don't have. That's not me. Trust me, that's not me. And I'm an old media guy like you guys are, right? But at some point, humor I have found to be a really effective tool to help people relax a little bit.
It is. It's the only
Yeah.
tool.
It's the
And
best
so I
thing
don't
you
do
can
it to diminish myself. I do it to help put people at ease. And now they're
Yeah.
ready to listen.
Yes.
And what you're doing is brilliant, because it's a universal language.
Yeah.
Everybody comes to a conversation with a wall built up, and humor just starts blowing out that wall, and you get on equal footing. Humor is the common language of the world.
To that effect, if
Yeah.
a company comes to us and says, we need you to come in and do some conflict resolution. Our teams are banging heads. We need you to come in and roll up your sleeves and get to work on this. We will tell them the only way to do that is to first get their buy-in and do something fun with them. Because unless we've laughed together, their walls are going to be too high to achieve any success.
You're going to think, why the hell should I listen to these 2 fools coming in telling me what to do?
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
going to do it. They're not going to listen because they're going to say, oh, they're coming in, they're leaving, but I'm living this problem. You got to get their buy-in that you're with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
When
humor
I,
helps. Yeah.
When I do one-on-one coaching, I do score mentoring and I do career coaching, and even one-on-one coaching in corporations. When they show up online, I'll use this phrase: "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here for the party." Now it's not going to be a party,
Right.
but that's just one little piece that can set the tone. Is
Yes.
oh, I'm so glad you're here for the coaching today.
Mhm.
And I actually had a lady, not unlike you, Rebecca, when you said that you knew it was going to be a different conversation when we started, because I said something to that effect. I had one lady not too long ago. She said, "Oh my God, Teddy, I've never thought about having a party through Zoom." I'm like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, and have fun with it, because you're absolutely right. When you say people build up the dread over time, and when they know, oh, I got to meet with this guy at 1 o'clock, their imagination has gone crazy. And when you can bust through that and have some laughter, oh, all that tension just evaporates.
Yeah, yeah.
Any tips for I guess starting that conversation or presentation or what have you? Again, you don't want to necessarily wheel out the dad jokes, but what have you found?
Randy, if you can hold on 1 second.
You struck a sensitive chord there.
Rebecca, I just want to point, you see that tree down there? I don't like it very much.
Why, Keith?
Kind of shady.
I hear that about 10 times a day.
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
heard
do
was
your
shady.
fake laugh, Randy.
She calling us shady, Teddy. All I heard was shady. It was
Randy
breaking
didn't
up.
even laugh, man.
I
You
think
a
she
fake
was,
laugh.
I think
I
she
couldn't
was
hear
talking
it.
about Keith, because I'm not a tree.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry. My mic cut
Randy
out.
thought I'm pointing him out, man. I'm trying to
I had
hit-
no. I couldn't hear you.
This is the
but-
problem with dad jokes. Okay?
Oh, Mike Brock.
Because
Mike,
not everybody
oh my
gets
God.
them.
I love it, man.
Got people laughing, whether you thought it was lame or not. You two were both laughing.
We laugh at ourselves a lot. That's easy to
Me
do.
too, and
We
that's-
don't have a problem with that.
One thing Keith and
Yeah.
I find that especially when we're with a group
Yeah.
that might be a little more uptight, nervous, we'll banter back and forth and tease each other. And then that becomes the mood of the room.
And you guys do a brilliant job of doing this. You guys laugh back and forth, have fun, cut up on each other. But we both know that your spirit and your passion is in what you're doing.
Boy, I fooled them, didn't I, Randy?
So far,
And now
Your day
is
young.
look,
We're only
Randy and I
halfway through.
do this because we love to do it. It is
Yeah.
absolutely a freaking hoot for him and I to get together.
Yeah.
We
can
haven't
tell.
seen each other in 6 months,
Yeah.
other than
But
through
you
this
have-
night.
But you have fun with it. And that's
Yeah,
the
we do.
key to life. You find something, when people see you're being authentic and real and having a good time, you're not being pushed against the wall to do this, then they want to join in.
So let's talk another big one. This is another big one.
Okay.
I don't believe I can. I'll try. There's the line right there. The one of the
yeah.
worst words. I'll try. Or something like we say it to ourselves all the time, and we're not certain. We have this thing going on in this ubo globlo thing. I don't know, Rebecca. You know what this thing's called. I don't. The
Why are you
stuff.
asking her, not me? What?
the armadillo. It's the armadillo.
Because I thought you would go armadillo like Randy does, but we talk ourselves out of it.
Yes, we do.
Self-talk. Help us with that.
Oh my God.
We sabotage ourselves more than anybody else does and set
Yeah.
ourselves up for failure. But the good news is we also hold the key to change that around and to kick out that inner saboteur.
Each one of us, we have self-talk and we tear ourselves down. And yet it's a natural process because from the time of the beginning of humans, it's a way of preserving yourself.
Sure.
Maybe I self-talk, I shouldn't jump off that cliff or attack that lion, right? So you have self-talk that's a preservation. But as we move forward, the things in life aren't as risky. And we have to move to a positive mindset in that talk and positive speaking to ourselves as we would speak to any other member of our family.
And you have to attack that negative with much more positive. It's not one negative to one positive. It takes 3 positive statements to begin to break down any of the negative.
Yeah.
And we also run our clients through a self-talk checklist. For example, a simple one would be, what's the proof? If someone says they're never going to like my idea, we'll say, prove it to us. How do you know that?
Yeah. Another thing in that whole context of self-talk, and I'm trying to hang on to the thought because it's slipping, but I got it. And that is that, we'll say to ourselves, well, I tried that 6 months ago and I failed.
Oh.
Or I tried something like that last year and I failed. And in my mind, I say to myself, but what did I learn from that?
Right.
And most people, even me, and before I started getting a little bit smarter, I would say I failed. It would be ridiculous to try again.
Oh yeah. You hear that many times. And the thing is, what you're talking about is it's society saying we failed because we're individually, we haven't failed at anything. We gave it a try and maybe it didn't go the way we thought, but it's not a failure. And that's the problem. It's like black and white thinking. It's a gray area. If I went out and tried golf now, could I say it's a failure? Did I have a good time? Sure. Didn't hit the ball, but maybe enjoyed walking around the field, whatever. But we got to go past the black and white thinking.
And we're all guilty of it at times. Going into COVID, Keith and I made a huge mistake. We would turn down invitations to coach people over Zoom, especially group sessions, because we thought we can only do it in person because it only works in person.
In-person snobs.
We didn't know. And then come COVID, and it's either, do you want to eat or sit in your house locked up because you can't be in person? Very quickly, we adopted the fact that, yes, we can lead classes on Zoom. And we came to learn that sometimes it goes even better that way. And it was a reminder to us that we share with our clients all the time is everybody is guilty of telling themselves lies that are stopping them from getting to that next point.
Hey, I've got I want to work in a question or so from the audience, but also I had a friend of mine who's since unfortunately passed away, but I had gone through a little rough patch in life with being self-employed, and just, it's a longer story and nobody wants to hear it. But I was telling this guy named Tom, and I was telling Tom, I said, man, generally speaking, I've done pretty well with whatever I've tried generally. I mean, I'm not the famous this or the richest that or the big, but by and large, I haven't run into a ton of roadblocks, especially from a business standpoint, until I did. And I felt like a failure. And remember, Tom, he and I were having lunch one day and he says, Randy, he says, failure it's an occurrence. It's not a personality trait.
Wow. I like
love
that.
that one.
I don't know where he found that one. So you don't have to attribute it to Tom because he's passed away.
Right.
But, and I thought, you know what? And to Teddy's point, and I say this all the time, life's a journey and there's a lot of chapters and we hopefully learn as we go.
Yeah.
And so when people resign themselves to feeling like a failure because they've lost their job or they failed at a business or a marriage, or they failed to, do what the doctor told them to do. And, just a whole host of things. And that self-talk comes into play. But if you can remember failure, hopefully we can learn from an occurrence. It doesn't define us in our character. And I thought that was a key distinction to make.
I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Two good business friends of mine.
Yeah.
Gary Fly, who is now the president of the Brooks Group, which is a sales training company, and Rich Slentz, who's been on our show, both said to me in the early days of COVID, they said, I believed that I could not do my business virtually.
Yes.
But I listened, I asked, and I decided to try it. And both of these guys knocked it out of the park through the lockdown period of COVID. But if they had allowed themselves to say, I can't, they would have failed miserably. And great conversations about how to overcome self-talk at a big level. But again, I want to make sure everybody understands self-talk starts here. It starts here, not at a corporate level.
It starts with just walking through a door, walking across a sidewalk, walking to your car. I mean, everything you do in life, we're constantly talking to ourselves. And we can either do it negative or positive.
And we think, how often had we sent that email or made that call or asked that question, the difference that could make.
But you are talking to yourself all day long. And I think it's important. It's not only the issues, but all day long, you're talking to yourself about things, making decisions, and you can quickly train your mind and how you're going to think about situations.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go to another one because we talked about this a little bit. And when you mentioned it, I'm like, man, I don't want to talk about this because I don't want anything to do with this. And it's PowerPoints.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, that has got to be one of the worst weapons in business. And I wonder, Microsoft should be held accountable for creating that weapon that we use all the time.
You should make all their executives have to sit in a room for weeks on week watching PowerPoint presentation.
The only benefit to PowerPoint is for those who can't sleep.
Oh yeah.
Give them some PowerPoints and problem solve. Forget melatonin.
Death by PowerPoint.
So you're telling me I can tell my daughters to give their my grandkids a little iPad and watch these 5 PowerPoints.
We always tell folks PowerPoint is like the backup singer singing better than you do as the main singer. You don't want to be on stage in Vegas but have the backup singers knocking you out. And the thing is, people pay more attention to the backup singers than the main singer.
We were in DC at a conference this spring, and the speaker before us had a lot of slides, too many slides.
A lot.
We somehow stayed awake thanks to caffeine, but there were about a dozen people in this room, fast asleep, eyes closed, the whole thing.
And the fact is, the PowerPoint is there because you don't want to utilize your full body language and your full ability to express yourself. Therefore, the PowerPoint adds to you, but it really just makes you look lame.
Yeah.
It's a mask. You're hiding behind the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I remember, and I think I told you about this when we talked a while ago, that I used to be a PowerPoint guy, and I was proud of my 116 slide PowerPoints of all of my speaker notes and all that stuff. And my Georgia font 17 and
we've all done it, man. We've all done it.
And then I switched to Prezi, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Prezi. It's much simpler, but I turned Prezi into PowerPoint.
Oh yeah.
And I said, I'm not doing any better with this, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I switched from all of that to Google Slides. And I make sure that when I'm done, my Google presentation weighs less than 13 ounces, and then I feel good.
Exactly. Keep it short, keep it going. And even people will come to us and say, look, I got a job in the finance or some kind of data-driven statistics. I got to show them some slides. Well, you can do that. And I say, go old school, print out some of the stuff, put it at their desk. It's not that hard to print it out.
Well, I thought when you said old school, you were going to say go with what's it called? The
Overhead.
overhead. Yeah, here, let me put
Projector.
this. Yeah, that Randy
really
knows
like
what I'm talking about. So
I found
I do,
those
yeah.
more interesting. They were more fun. You see the hand of the teacher writing,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that reminds me of with the PowerPoint, what I call death by PowerPoint. But as you can see on slide 8, and they read all of the 6 points on the slide, and it takes me 2 seconds to glance at them, so I'm already way ahead of them. So points, yeah. So, but for the presentation that you got to give, and there's got to be PowerPoints because that's what, let's say, the boss wants.
Sure.
Then, how do you convey what's on the PowerPoint without reading from the PowerPoint? Any
Use
tips
photos.
for making it kind of conversational?
Use photos, bullet points,
Okay.
no full sentences, very short phrases that will cue you into what you need to talk about.
Good.
But make sure that you're telling stories. If you have a bullet about rising costs, then have a story that you're going to share to illustrate that.
And make it as simple, and everybody's seen like a copy of the USA Today, and they always have a great info graph. Make it very simple. If you have to look at it a couple times to understand it, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
A stop sign, what a stop sign looks like. You know what a yield sign looks like. Everybody, you don't have to think about it. Should be the same thing with the pictures of the graphic. It needs to explain itself simply.
Yeah, but a lot of people think a stop sign means stop. I've always believed it's just a slow down and keep moving kind of a thing. Let's talk about body language, because when we are presenting, I'm trying my best to stay focused to you, but I got my talking points over here, and I got to pay attention to Todd, and that can distract. Our good friend Randy knows where I'm going with this one. Our good friend Cindy would say, Teddy, you are distracting the audience when you're doing this stuff, or when you're writing there. And our body language is important when we are having conversations. Talk about a few tips, if you could, about how to make sure our body language is working in front of our audience, whether our audience is 1, or in this case, 17,000 people.
Yeah,
Amazing
body
that growth.
language
Constant growth.
is 70% of communication. You could say what you find to be the most interesting thing. And a lot of speakers will make this mistake. They'll say, but I stayed up all night. I wrote this amazing thing. It's only as good as how it's received.
Yeah.
And Keith and I are always monitoring. We're watching for you nodding right now. If you kept looking at your watch, we would change the course of our answers to shorten them. We're always watching for, is the other person dancing with us?
And you have to be perception. So many people think I'm just going to go out here and present, and to hell with what the audience thinks. Your presentation is only as good as the audience. If you're out playing, if you're a band and you think, damn, I'm really good. And as you're playing with your buddies in a garage and you get on stage and you start playing and no one's dancing, you suck. I'm sorry, you're not good. You may think you're good in the garage, but you're not good out there. And that's the problem with the same thing with body language. You got to pay attention to what people are doing. Otherwise, you're going to lose people every day.
Yeah. We must be doing halfway decent, Randy, because we've kept 99.6% of the people who showed up so far.
Well, that's because we pay them well, Teddy. That's we don't pay. Teddy doesn't even pay me. We need to talk about that, Teddy. We'll get to that. We did have a question about
that up, Randy, and I told you the board of directors said you're not ready yet.
And are you the only one on the board?
Hey, we did have a question about body language on Zoom
Oh,
and how that may differ from in-person presentations. Any tips, guidance you could give on that?
Well, one of the key things is most people don't sit back enough. You guys do a great job of this, but the ability to see your arms, see your hands, a lot of people just have their face and it looks like a glorified mugshot. Fact is, making sure you're utilizing the body language to express what you're doing. And if you have difficulty reading body language, if you go out to a restaurant, watch other couples, pretend you can't hear. Most of the time you can't, and figure out what's going on in that relationship.
Right.
It's all the body language training you'll ever need to watch.
You can tell everything. If we're at a restaurant, we see a couple doing this to each other. They're not exactly saying, I love you so much.
Right? Pay attention. The body language always says more. The words and the tone, they're nothing. Watch the body language. When you're walking down the street, try to, we call thin slice, try to figure out the story of everyone that walks by. Where'd they grow up? What do they do as a hobby? What kind of job do you think they have? As you do that more and more, you'll get closer and closer to being right.
You get surprisingly accurate at it. Think about, what topic would I use if I wanted to launch into conversation with them? We do this a lot with our clients who have a lot of anxiety about networking, and they'll say, oh, I don't know how to start a conversation. And we show them how the clues are all around them. You can comment on something someone's wearing, something on the wall behind them, anything.
Somebody told me years ago, two things. One was, if you walk, there's an executive I know, you walk in his office and there's this freaking 16-foot long blue fin tuna thing. It's huge. And I said, man, why do you have that on your wall? I know you don't fish. He goes, that is the screw of people's heads who come in here and they think they're going to use that as a conversation piece.
I love it.
I got it from a yard sale for $25 and I put it up there just to mess with people's heads. But then the other one I got from somebody as well is that, Keith, you said, or maybe it was Rebecca, said you can comment on someone they're wearing. And somebody said, Teddy, don't ever comment on a woman's dress or their jewelry. I'm like, why? If I do that as sincerely and openly, as I can, I mean, I think people want to be acknowledged for what they're wearing and their jewelry, whether they're a man or a woman, and as long as you do it right. And I practice how to do it wrong enough that I know how not to do it anymore.
People put on certain things, shirts, pants, jewelry, and I don't care what the guy is and says, oh, I don't give a rip what I'm wearing. They do. People put on things because it's comfortable and they like how it looks, how other people respond to what they're wearing.
And going back to the start of our conversation, it traces back to that brand you're creating. Everything you're wearing and showcasing, even what's on your wall, becomes part of your brand.
Even the biggest hillbilly out there in some holler somewhere puts on something to have a certain image.
That Randy, that would be you, dude.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And one of the things I try to talk about with our job hunting clients is distractions. And while it's great to be yourself and all that in your personal life, if it creates a distraction during the interview process, it's, in my words, in my thought, it's detracting from your message. Your message is that I can add value to your organization. I don't want to get them hung up on extraneous things that could derail. Now, again, it's a big world and a lot of things don't matter to some people and are a big deal to others. And I get that. But by and large, try to eliminate distractions and present yourself as a professional if you're in a professional environment. And that includes how you dress. That includes all of that, as well as how you speak and come across.
And look, if you want to dress the way you want to dress, but you never seem to get jobs, well, that's a problem. Eventually, you're going to learn that I got to dress the way that the job wants me to dress, and I'm going to get a job.
Which is why I no longer ever wear my Crocs in public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No tank top either, Teddy, right? No tank top and nose piercing. Is that's what somebody had typed in there? But
and Dean wants to know. Dean wants to know: does a hillbilly have a Van Gogh painting in the background? No, Dean. Randy has a Van Gogh painting, but it is not his background. He does not want you to know he has that.
Yeah, you don't know what's behind this curtain, by the way. I've never revealed what's behind the curtain, nor will I today.
I want to touch on another one for just
it's a window. Moments. It's a bright window. Let's
touch on another one for a few minutes, because I think it can be very useful, because there in our audience, we have people who are in business, we have people who are in job search, and people who are in job search will often think, well, I used to be accounts payable A through L. That's what I got to do next. That may not be the case. Talk a little bit about public speaking as a career option. Wait a minute, Keith. Even for someone who was accounts payable A through L.
Exactly. I get that personality.
Because we can never do their job. Oh my goodness.
But
everybody has a story worth sharing. Everybody can go out there and speak on something. Half the battle is figuring out what to talk about and is it interesting to people. The part about crafting the story, that's the easier part.
And as I go back to the beginning, find out what you're not good at and don't do it. Right? That's simple. And another thing someone taught me, it's probably wrong, but it goes back to the whole Goodwill story. I remember a guy said, look, if you got a client or got a person who just never wants to shower, get them a job on a trash truck. So match the person to the personality too. Figure out who they are and match them in a thing. But the idea that you've done accounts payable all your life, you're just locking yourself in a jail. You can do anything you want. You might not be as good as other folks, but you can try. And why not?
And some of the answers often connect back to what's not logical. We'll ask our clients what they were like when they were a little kid, what they played with. If they had a week off and money was of no expense, what would they want to do? How would they want to spend their time? I see I take showers with the jet. But that will often uncover some of the answer to what somebody wants to do.
The point that everyone has a story, and what you have to do is find, or they have stories.
Right.
What you have to do is look at what stories you have that can be meaningful, relevant, interesting, maybe even life-changing to other people.
Yeah.
And people have these stories, they just don't know they do. I recently talked to a lady I'm doing some career coaching for, whose husband ran off on her, cheated on her, ran up debts on her Social Security number, destroyed her life in lots of different ways. And then she started realizing what was happening, and she started going through the process of cleaning up the mess. And she cleaned up the mess. And that mess includes lots of stuff, not just financial, but also clearing that debris of him away. And she changed her whole life. She became this whole new person with, new aspirations, et cetera, et cetera. I said, that's a damn story, girl. That's a story that can change people's lives. And
when you've lived through hell, you got to explain that to other people, because you can save people from going through that hell, or you can help them have a little bit of water while they're in hell. But you got to tell them that, you got to tell those stories, because those transform people.
And the best stories always allow other people to see themselves as part of it. Because if they don't feel something too, sometimes people might have a great story, but they'll tell it in such a way where it puts them up on a pedestal and other people don't feel it. All stories that are good make everybody feel something.
Donald Miller, Story Branding. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you read that book?
No.
Story Branding by Donald Miller. It's a great read. You should read it. You guys would love it. You're wrapped all around it and don't even know it yet. And Donald Miller says, don't be the hero, be the guide. Let the person that you're guiding be the hero.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, couldn't have said that any better, because as soon as you come out there telling people the way it's got to be, they're not going to listen. No one wants to listen to someone tell them how to be.
It's like parenting.
Randy, you listen to these two, man. This is how you need to be, dude.
I'm making notes.
One last bullet point. This has been a great chat. I really appreciate you guys stopping and hanging out with us. When I know you want to be down on the bay, eating some seafood. I get it, but thank you for hanging with us.
Thank you.
You never read from a script.
Never.
Talk about that. Why is it important not to read a script?
Because then you might as well send an email. If you're reading from a script, why would anyone want to feel engaged? And you don't get to pick up on the body language of your audience. Speaking is a two-way street. It's a dance. And if you're the only one participating, you shouldn't expect your audience to care.
And I love it when you see someone walk up to a podium, usually a gentleman, they reach into their jacket, pull out
17 pages,
and they're unfolding them, and then they're like trying to
they pick their glasses, put the glasses on.
And you're thinking, this is good. Why didn't you just email me? Public speaking, when you're in that, it's theater, and I think people forget this. You are acting. You're not just reading words. That's what a narrator does. You're an actor,
or a news reporter.
Exactly. You have to be theatrical, just like you guys are. You gotta have fun and laugh, but it is part of theater. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, and never forget that.
This is good.
Never use a script.
I'm with you. When I do, I just wrapped up an hour and a half course that I had to produce. all I wrote down were 12 words, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
the
That's the
word
best.
associated with each segment.
That's
All
exactly
I
what
wrote down. And you guys know this. Randy and I are at show 120 something. And
Yeah.
all we ever ask our our special guests to do is to give us 5 words, 5 to
Mhm.
7 talking points. That's all we ask for. And then we discuss them.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And that's the
What-
way to do it. We just did a session for an hour and a half and we had 7 bullet points because you know them.
Because we had to one up your 12.
Not that I was trying to showcase our,
All right, I screwed up. I screwed up. I drove you guys all the way to the top of the hour. Keith, Rebecca, thanks a lot for joining us. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Randy, did you learn anything?
I did, but I'm going to spare the story because we're short on time. But we have a really, really cool guest next week, and you guys would appreciate this. Actually, he works with me at Goodwill Industries, Northwest North Carolina. He's our chief people officer, basically VP of HR. He's our top HR person. Timothy Howell is going to join us, and it's a timely topic. If everybody has seen somewhere in the news stuff about politics, the Supreme Court, hot button social issues, inflation, this politician's dirty, this one's dirtier, this one's whatever. And how does that play out in the workplace? How do HR departments set guidelines and address that so that people can go to work and get work done? So what are best practices? We'll learn maybe things that have worked, maybe things that haven't worked as well, and try to understand from an HR perspective the why behind, hey, this is why we're implementing this kind of stuff. So a lot of topics of interest that we'll tackle next week. So we hope you'll join us, and that'll be at 11:55 Eastern time on Wednesday, the 17th.
Yeah. So-
Halfway through the month, Teddy.
Yeah, I hear you. Keith, Rebecca, thanks a lot
guys.
for coming. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
We also appreciate the Elder Law Firm being one of our show sponsors.
Yeah.
Check them out. If you're working on estate planning or helping someone work on estate planning or elder care planning, check out the Elder Law Firm in Greensboro, and we will see all of you next week.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.